Ladies and gentlemen, I do not come to you today to entertain your ears, I come to awaken your spirit. I do not speak for applause, I speak to provoke your transformation, because I have learned this truth: the world does not shape you, you shape yourself. And every single morning, you are either speaking life or digging your own mental grave. The first voice you hear should not be the voice of the world, it should be the voice of your conviction. Too many among us wake up and speak doubt, speak fear, speak defeat. And then we wonder why our days feel like battles lost before they began. But I tell you, if you desire to rise, if you desire to lead, if you desire to become the architect of your destiny, then you must learn to speak power into your own soul. Before the world tells you who you are, you must declare it first. These 12 affirmations I bring to you are not clichés. They are not empty words. They are spiritual weapons, forged in silence, meant to pierce the darkness of insecurity, of laziness, of fear. Listen with the ears of the hungry. Receive them not as suggestions, but as sacred truths. Because the man who learns to speak to himself with clarity, with purpose, and with fire is the man the world can no longer control. Let us begin where all greatness begins, not with action, not with applause, but with the first words you speak to yourself when the world is still wrapped in sleep, because those words, those quiet declarations spoken into the morning silence are not small. They are everything. The first words you whisper to your soul become the compass of your day. They become the foundation of your thoughts, your emotions, your discipline. The tragedy of the modern man is not that he lacks talent, but that he begins each day by telling himself he is not enough, that he wakes up already defeated, already tired, already surrendered. But I came to tell you, your first words shape your world. They are the code you feed your spirit, and if you feed it weakness, you will walk in weakness. If you feed it fear, you will be led by fear. But if you feed it strength, you will lead with fire. The one who masters his morning voice masters his day. The one who tells himself who he is will never again accept a lesser definition from the world, because the world will try to name you. It will call you a failure. It will call you unqualified. It will call you too late. But when you rise and declare to yourself, I am disciplined, I am focused, I am becoming the man I was born to be, then no label from the world can stick. The voice within becomes louder than the noise outside. And that is where power begins, not in action, but in identity. Most men begin the day scrolling through the opinions of others, consuming the chaos of the news, inviting the confusion of social media. And then they wonder why they feel heavy, lost, and behind. But the man who begins his day by speaking truth to himself, that man moves with direction. He does not scroll to find validation. He speaks his own truth into the air and commands his mind to obey. He tells himself what kind of day he will have, what kind of man he will be, what kind of legacy he is building, because he understands the tongue has the power of life and death, and he chooses to speak life before the world speaks doubt. Every morning you have a choice to speak like a slave of your past or like a soldier of your purpose. You can tell yourself, I'm tired, I can't, I don't feel like it. Or you can say, I am alive, I am able, I am chosen for something greater. That one decision, that single declaration creates a shift. It turns the engine of your soul. It activates your vision. It tells your mind to rise, not just physically, but spiritually, because when you speak the right words, you are not just talking, you are training. You are training your emotions to follow your faith. You are training your body to follow your belief. You are training your habits to bow before your purpose. There is a reason the greatest warriors of history spoke affirmations before battle. Because the fight is not won in the arena, it is won in the mind, and every morning is a battle against doubt, a battle against laziness, a battle against the temptation to settle. The man who does not speak truth to himself in the morning will become a victim of the lies that wait for him in the day. but the man who commands his morning with declarations of discipline, of vision, of power, that man walks into his day undefeated. Do not underestimate the power of your voice. Not the voice you use in crowds, but the voice you use when no one is listening. That voice, spoken in the quiet moments of the morning, becomes your reality. If you speak focus, you will see clarity. If you speak purpose, you will move with direction. If you speak gratitude, your heart will remain open even when the world closes in. And if you speak growth, you will grow not by accident, but by design. So I say to you, do not let your first words be borrowed from your past. Let them be built from your future. Do not echo the language of the weak. Speak like a man who knows he is on a mission, who knows his words have weight, who knows that every morning he is not just waking up, he is stepping into alignment with his highest self. The one who rises and speaks power into his soul cannot be broken by the whispers of failure, because he has already declared who he is, and the world must now adjust. You must speak to your future, not your fears. That is the lesson they never taught you in school. That is the wisdom they never wrote in books. The man who wakes up and immediately begins to rehearse his worries has already surrendered his power. The man who looks in the mirror and sees only what he lacks is already walking with chains around his mind. But the one who rises and speaks to where he is going, not where he's been, that man is unstoppable, because he understands that his words are not just sounds, they are blueprints, they are instructions. They are weapons. The future listens to your voice, and the future is obedient, but it will only build what you command it to build. Too many begin their day by reactivating their fears. They say, what if I fail again? What if they reject me? What if I'm not good enough? And those words, those small, trembling words, become bricks in the wall that separates them from their potential. You must understand, fear has no power until you give it your voice. Fear feeds on your language. It grows when you water it with your thoughts. But when you rise, plant your feet on the ground, look yourself in the eye and say, I am not here to repeat my fears, I am here to walk in faith. Something begins to shift in the atmosphere around you. Because fear and faith both ask for the same thing, belief, but only one leads to freedom. When you speak to your future, you begin to move like the man you are becoming, not the man the world expects you to remain. You do not ask for permission to rise. You do not seek validation for your vision. You wake up and say, I am becoming more focused. I am becoming more disciplined. I am becoming more dangerous to every limitation that has ever tried to hold me back. Those words are not poetry, they are prophecy. Every affirmation you speak is a declaration of war against every thought that ever told you to settle. And when you speak those words consistently, they start to echo louder than your fears. Speak before the battle. Declare before the pressure. Set your tone before the world sets it for you. If you wake up and say nothing, the world will speak for you, and it will speak confusion. It will speak comparison. It will speak insecurity. That is why you must be the first voice your soul hears. You must interrupt the old patterns and program new truth. You must say, today I lead, today I create. Today I dominate my weaknesses and strengthen my mission. Because your future is not just waiting, it is listening, and it is building itself according to your words. You must stop feeding your future the language of limitation. Stop saying, I don't know how. Stop saying, maybe someday. Stop saying, I hope I can. Start saying, I will, I must, I am. There is a power that enters your bloodstream when you use your voice as a tool of alignment. You begin to act not according to your feelings, but according to your focus. And when your words align with your vision, your actions follow. That is how movements begin. That is how legacies are formed, not with noise, but with inner clarity, spoken truth repeated daily until your reality bends to your faith. You do not need the world to agree. You need only to be bold enough to speak what they fear to imagine. You are not a slave to fear unless you speak like one. Every time you say, "I can't," you hand fear the key to your future. Every time you say, "What if I fail?" you plant doubt in the soil of your destiny. But when you say, "I am built for this, I am rising, I am not here to exist, I am here to lead," you make fear irrelevant. You make doubt homeless. You make every lie you've ever believed tremble in the face of truth. And you must do this every single morning, not once, not occasionally, but relentlessly. Speak as if your life depends on it, because it does. Speak as if your purpose is listening, because it is. Speak not with hesitation, but with conviction, because the world does not belong to the loud, it belongs to the clear, and clarity comes when your voice is stronger than your fears. The man who dares to speak to his future with boldness in the morning cannot be broken by the opinions of men in the afternoon. There is a difference between movement and meaning. A man can wake up and run all day, chase 1,000 tasks, reply to 100 messages, and still arrive at night feeling empty. Not because he didn't work, but because his work was not aligned. His effort was real, but his direction was lost. You see, activity without alignment is exhaustion disguised as ambition. That is why every morning, before the world distracts you, before the opinions of others confuse you, before the noise of life pulls you in 10 different directions, you must align your thoughts with your mission. That alignment is not optional. It is necessary. It is the anchor that holds your spirit firm in a stormy world. A man without alignment is a man at the mercy of the moment. He reacts to everything, chases everything, fears everything. But the man who aligns his mind with his mission at the start of the day does not panic. He is not confused by opportunity. He is not moved by chaos. He does not need to be reminded of who he is, because he tells himself first. Before the sun rises, before the crowd arrives, he speaks one truth to his soul. This is who I am, and this is where I'm going. That declaration becomes his compass. It silences every voice that does not match his direction. Your thoughts are not just passing clouds, they are the architecture of your actions. If your mind is filled with distraction, your day will be filled with detours. But when your first thoughts of the day are wrapped in purpose, soaked in vision, and sharpened by discipline, then everything you touch begins to carry weight. You walk different, you speak different. You choose different, not because you're better than others, but because you're aligned with something bigger than yourself. You are not just living, you are leading, and the one who leads himself early cannot be led astray later. Do not allow your thoughts to drift aimlessly through the morning like leaves in the wind. Command them, direct them, align them. Tell your mind, you do not serve distraction today. You serve purpose. You serve vision. You serve the legacy I am building. And when you do that every morning, over and over again, you begin to master your own mind. The chaos outside can scream, but it cannot enter, because your inner world has already been ordered. Alignment is not found in noise. It is found in stillness, and that stillness is most powerful when the world has not yet awakened. That is why the early hour matters. That is why silence matters, because your spirit needs space to hear what matters most. In that silence you remind yourself of your goals, not the goals others expect of you, but the ones that burn in your soul. In that silence you reject the shallow urgency of the world and embrace the deep urgency of your calling. And that calling becomes louder than comfort, louder than pressure, louder than fear. When your thoughts are aligned with your mission, the distractions of the day lose their power. You are no longer pulled in 5 directions by meaningless tasks, because you know what matters. You are no longer jealous of others, because you are focused on your own lane. You are no longer tired of life, because you are too busy building a future that fuels your spirit, and that alignment gives birth to clarity, and clarity gives birth to power. Not loud power, not dramatic power, but quiet, focused, unbreakable power, the kind that shakes the world without shouting. If you do not align your thoughts every morning, you will eventually become loyal to things that have nothing to do with your purpose. You will say yes to people you should have left behind. You will chase validation from crowds that do not care. You will build a life that looks impressive but feels empty, and that is the ultimate failure to climb a ladder and find it leaning against the wrong wall. But the man who aligns early, who commands his thoughts, who reminds himself of his reason, who clears the fog before the world brings the noise, that man does not climb blindly. He builds boldly, he creates intentionally. He moves like a man who is led by something eternal. So speak to your thoughts, train them, direct them, remind them of your mission. Every single morning before the day begins, tell yourself, I will not be moved by the moment I am grounded in my mission. Because once your mind is aligned, your energy is not wasted, your strength is not scattered, and your life becomes a weapon in the hands of purpose. There is a truth many refuse to embrace, that what you repeat, you become. What you say to yourself daily is not just conversation, it is construction. You are either building strength or building excuses. You are either reinforcing purpose or reinforcing fear. And the man who understands this does not speak power once and forget it. He speaks power until it becomes his identity. He repeats discipline until it is his second nature. He repeats focus until it is his only language. He repeats greatness until it is no longer something he hopes, for it is something he walks in. Because repetition is not just the path to memory, it is the path to mastery. You see, too many men speak like lions on Monday and whisper like lambs by Friday. They affirm strength when it's convenient. They declare purpose when the mood is right. But the one who speaks life into himself every single morning without fail, without compromise, without negotiation becomes untouchable. Not because life gets easier, but because his foundation gets deeper. You cannot shake a man who reminds himself of truth before the world gives him lies. You cannot break a man who rehearses power until power becomes his posture. The words you repeat are not just for the moment, they are for the man you are becoming. The more you speak them, the more your subconscious accepts them. Your mind, your energy, your habits, they begin to organize around what you consistently declare. If you tell yourself every morning that you are focused, then focus will eventually no longer be a choice, it will be your instinct. If you tell yourself daily that you are rising, then no matter how deep the valley, your legs will remember the direction upward. This is not magic, it is mental programming. It is spiritual engineering. And the wise man does not speak once and forget, he speaks until his soul aligns. You must speak until your belief system bends. Speak until your doubt gets tired of arguing. Speak until your identity submits to your purpose, because this world will not stop trying to redefine you. It will try to name you by your past, by your mistakes, by your pain. But when you wake up every morning and declare who you truly are, not based on where you are, but based on where you are going, then every false label begins to fade. Repetition is the hammer that breaks down the wall between the man you are and the man you were called to be. Some say, but I've said it before, I've affirmed it, I've declared it, and I say to them, once is not enough. You cannot build a fortress with one brick. You cannot master discipline with one decision. You must wake up and lay brick upon brick, word upon word, until your spirit is surrounded by the walls of truth. Every morning, speak again. Every morning, command your thoughts again. Every morning, realign with your vision again. Because repetition is not weakness, repetition is strength, refined through commitment. The man who speaks the right words every morning is not delusional, he is deliberate. He is not ignoring reality, he is creating a new one. Because words are seeds, and when you plant the right ones daily, the harvest becomes inevitable. You cannot sow discipline in the morning and reap destruction in the night. You cannot sow purpose at sunrise and reap confusion at sunset. The problem is not in the process, it is in the inconsistency. The ones who do not change are the ones who speak once and quit. But the one who speaks until it becomes identity, that one is transformed. And even when doubt lingers, even when fatigue whispers, even when the results are not yet visible, speak anyway. Speak because silence is surrender. Speak because your spirit remembers what your eyes cannot yet see. Speak because repetition is not for the world to hear, it is for your soul to obey. It is the code of consistency that makes you unshakable. Speak until it feels real. Speak until the words no longer feel like hope, they feel like truth. Speak until you don't need to force yourself to act, you act because it's who you are. And when that moment comes, when your daily affirmations are no longer a performance, but a reflection of your essence, you will not have to shout who you are, the world will already know. Because you became it in silence, you repeated it in faith, and you lived it in full.